Hi, everybody. Welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney, and it's Friday, November 20th. Congratulations, we have made it to the end of another week. I've got your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Thanks for choosing to be here. Lots to get through today, so let's dive right into it. We have more news today that seems to be tied to the First Energy nuclear plant bailout bribery scandal. Public Utilities Commission of Ohio Chairman Sam Randazzo has resigned, according to Governor Mike DeWine. He said today that that was voluntary and that Randazzo said that it would be a distraction if he stayed on in his role after the FBI searched his home on Monday in the German Village in the Columbus area. Yesterday, First Energy Corporation reported to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission that former executives directed a $4 million payment to an official who fits Randazzo's description. Without admitting anything, Randazzo said that the filing would fuel suspicion and controversy over any decisions that he might make if he stayed on in the role, and so he resigned. Now, he was appointed to that position in 2019 by DeWine. Now, as a refresher here, 4 months ago, the FBI arrested then Ohio House Speaker Larry Householder and 4 other people in connection to a $60 million bribery scheme that was tied to that $1 billion bailout for 2 First Energy nuclear power plants. Householder and the 4 others were indicted on racketeering charges in federal court. Householder has pleaded not guilty, and 2 of the men indicted with Householder have pleaded guilty to those charges. By the way, Householder no longer Speaker of the House, but did run for re-election unopposed for the Ohio House. Now, speaking of elections, Georgia has said that the results of the audit had come back and they're in line with the fact of President-elect Joe Biden winning the state, but hasn't yet certified the vote. They have until 5 p.m. to do it tonight. Now, once that happens and President-elect Joe Biden is certified the winner of Georgia, then President Donald Trump can request that recount because it's still within the margin where that's possible to do for the losing candidate. So that'll probably happen sometime next week, and then after that machine recount happens, then Georgia can certify those vote results again. But all eyes stay on Georgia because there are 2 Senate races that are in a runoff election, and that's happening on January 5th. Republican incumbent Senators Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue are running against Democratic challengers Reverend Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff, and that race has implications for the balance of power in the Senate. So definitely all eyes on Georgia. Speaking of Washington, D.C., Rudy Giuliani's son, Andrew Giuliani, who is a White House staffer, announced today that he tested positive for COVID-19. He said he's experiencing mild symptoms and he's following all appropriate protocol, including quarantining and contact tracing. But within the past 24 hours, Andrew Giuliani was reportedly at that press conference held by his father, Rudy Giuliani, at the Republican National Committee headquarters in Washington, D.C. Now, Andrew Giuliani works in the White House at the Office of Public Liaison, and according to CNN, he was at that event in the Rose Garden last Friday. Now, as for his father, Rudy Giuliani, a spokesperson for his office didn't immediately respond to the Hill's request for comment about whether he plans to quarantine for now. Now taking a look at our latest information from the Ohio Department of Health on COVID-19 here in Ohio. Right now, we don't have complete numbers. Again, Governor Mike DeWine said yesterday that they're waiting to double check at least 12,000 COVID-19 tests. We don't know if that number has gone up since Monday, but that's what he said yesterday. But even with the incomplete data that we have right now, we're at a new record again today with 8,808 at least new reported cases in the last 24 hours. We also know that the average test rate for positive COVID cases for the last 7 days is 14.2%, again with that incomplete data, and the last daily positive test rate is 13.1%. We also know that 65 new deaths have been reported in the last 24 hours. As of the latest check of the Ohio Department of Health coronavirus dashboard, we don't have any new data on hospitalizations yet. But now let's take a look at the national and the global numbers. Here in the U.S., we're getting very close to 11.8 million cases of COVID, according to Johns Hopkins University. That number is 11,792,616, and the total number of deaths reported at this time is 253,352. Again, the U.S. has 4% of the global population, but 20.6% of the global cases and 18.5% of the global deaths at this time. And globally, those numbers continue to go up. We've now surpassed 57 million cases globally. That number is 57,249,547 cases of COVID-19. The total number of deaths globally is now at 1,366,3 321. Bringing it back here to Northeast Ohio, head coach Kevin Stefanski said yesterday that he was expecting Myles Garrett to be back at practice on Friday. However, that's not happening because Myles Garrett has been placed on the COVID reserve list. Now, that happened after the Browns released a statement this morning that another player had tested positive for COVID-19. The Browns haven't confirmed that it was Myles Garrett that tested positive, but if you put two and two together, all signs seem to point that way. And 3 News contributor Mary Kay Cabot is reporting that Myles Garrett did test positive for COVID. She's also confirming that he'll be out for Sunday's game against the Philadelphia Eagles at First Energy Stadium. Again, Browns not making an official statement on whether Garrett did or did not test positive. The official NFL policy on that COVID reserve list is it's for people who have either tested positive or come in close contact with someone who has tested positive. Now, the Browns said their facility remains open at this time, and Friday's practice will take place as scheduled. They did say of the player who they reported to test positive, again, that they didn't name, but everyone is presuming is Myles Garrett, that he had not been in the facility all week and there had been 0 high-risk contacts that have been identified with that player and other people who would be in the facility. The team told 3 News on Thursday that they are still permitted to welcome up to 12,000 fans at home games despite Cuyahoga County's stay-at-home advisory. So all signs point to fans being allowed in the stands. Of course, it's an advisory, so they are allowed in the stands, but there don't seem to be any changes coming down between now and the home game on Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles at First Energy Stadium. Now, we do have sad news for a lot of people in the downtown Cleveland area. Michael Symon is reportedly closing several of his restaurants, including Lola Bistro downtown on East 4th Street. This report comes from Doug Tratner for Cleveland's Scene magazine. Also includes B-Spot Burger restaurants in Strongsville and Crocker Park. This is expected to impact about 70 employees. Now, Doug Tratner, who is also a contributor for 3 News, reports that Symon said the closure will be permanent unless something miraculous happens. Symon was quoted in Doug Tratner's article for Cleveland Scene saying that they came to the conclusion that they could either keep 2 restaurants open and have a chance or keep 5 open, and they all closed. Now, people were weighing in on this across social media. One Twitter user talked about the terrific history and many great memories they had at Lola, and back since the days when it was located in Tremont before it moved downtown to East 4th Street. This person said that the last time they were there was in August, and that it was absolutely dead on a summer Thursday night like the rest of East 4th Street, which is not necessarily typical, but it's not a typical year. And our own 3 News Austin Love said, frankly, this is just not a great situation. He said Lola was the first Cleveland restaurant that he ever experienced coming from Illinois, and that East 4th helped transform his view of how incredible Cleveland really is, and this really is a big loss. Another person replying to Austin, Justin Blyer, said he'll never forget his uncle making him try some of the interesting foods at Lola. Definitely an experience where you could step out of your comfort zone. And he said from lymph nodes to bone marrow, which was okay, he said, and beef heart, he definitely had quite the experience at Lola. Misha Burns said that she absolutely hates this, and she had the best meal of her life at Lola, so hopefully she's able to find that experience at maybe one of Symon's other restaurants. Mabel's Barbecue on East 4th in downtown Cleveland and B-Spot in Eaton will reportedly stay open at this time. Now, Symon may have predicted this. He said earlier this year that he thought 3 out of 10 restaurants probably won't be able to reopen again. That was back in April, before Ohio lifted the indoor dining restrictions. He said that it's going to cause a lot of hardship for a lot of people, and definitely that is what we are seeing happen. Now, to that end, today, Cuyahoga County officials announced round 3 of small business stabilization funding. So they'll be making $4.3 million available. That'll be starting Monday when those applications become available in the form of $10,000 grants. Also, utility assistance will be available through the end of the year. Now, to apply for that, you need to go to cuyahogacounty.us/assistance. That is income-based, by the way. Speaking of utilities, First Energy will be using helicopters to check out the damage from those high winds that we had last weekend here in Northeast Ohio that left so many people without power, some people for more than a day. First Energy said it could take 3 to 4 weeks to complete it, and they'll be using Chesapeake Bay helicopters to do it. And what they're doing is they're looking for damage to transmission lines and any severe hardware or component damage as a result of those high winds. So they'll be taking a look at that. One more thing to let you go. Rockefeller, that owl that was found in the Rockefeller Center tree, he could be taking off very soon. The people who have been taking care of him in upstate New York said that he's feeling much better. He was given x-rays and they came back clear, and they're going to keep him there until his health is okay. They monitor his health and they get him up to a proper weight because he had been dehydrated, and it seemed like he had been gone without food for just a little bit while he made that trip from Oneonta, New York to Rockefeller Center in that Christmas tree. So right now he's at the Ravensbeard Wildlife Center, that's in the Hudson Valley in Saugerties, New York, and the director there said that they just want to make sure that he's in good shape before they let him go because he was a little bit thin when they came in. But he's in great condition, and soon, possibly as soon as tomorrow on Saturday before dusk, he will be on his way. That's it for your 3 News Now update for Friday, November 20th. I'll see you next on What's New with your trending stories in the Clicking in Cleveland segment at 5 o'clock, which you can watch for free in the WKYC app. And if you haven't yet found us yet on your favorite podcast platform, take a look. You can get this as a podcast. You can subscribe if you would like by searching for 3 News Now with Stephanie Haney. Give us a rating and a review. And also, I have another podcast that just launched last week. That's called 3 Things to Know with Stephanie Haney, so go ahead and check that out. Tomorrow, the episode dropping will be with the founder of Random Acts of Kindness Everywhere, Ricky Smith, and we'll be talking about paying it forward even when times are tough and how you can get your mind around doing that and actually how it'll benefit you. All right, everybody, enjoy your Friday. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here on Monday with more 3 News Now. Stay safe and be well. I'm Stephanie Haney.